just as an FYI, I cannot see the questions as my screen is the presentation's on, so I'm going to need you to just interrupt me if we see something.
Okay, I will do that, Rene. All right, well, welcome again, folks, to the next installment of the Maximum Performance webinar series. This is presented by Maximum Acceleration, the professionals coaching company. Of course, we've been running this series since October of 2012. We started it initially with the goal of providing and bringing together a community of learning, folks who are committed to investing time and resource into perfecting and refining their skills and being able to perform at a higher level. And so today's program is the next installment of that series. Our guest presenter today is Mr. Rene Rodriguez, who is an expert in neuroscience and brain methodology, as well as learning theory and advanced development protocol, and kind of a lot of different things that, that will help you learn how to grow substantially faster than the general focus or approach to how most people approach building their business. Rene has been a great friend of mine and a true mentor and guide. I have learned so much from this gentleman as far as the development of my own personal communication skills. My own personal business development growth and coaching is a great result in no small part to Rene's teaching, guidance, and coaching. And Rene is, sharing with us today some of his 20-plus years of research and study in the art and psychology of trust and how to translate that influence and voluntary momentum to the digital audience. So with that being said, Rene, I'm going to transition this over to where you are the presenter, and I'm going to let you take it and run with it right up to the Q&A section here, all right?
Great. Tell me when you can see it. Can you see my screen?
Not quite yet. We're looking to see that come through any second.
You tell me when you can see it.
There we go. All right.
All right. Perfect. Well, first and foremost, I want to thank everybody for taking the time to be here today. And this is one of my favorite topics to talk about because it's just, I think it's really central into almost all the work that all of us do. At the end of the day, every single one of us here on this phone, we're in business, and that typically to do business, we have to be in business with someone else or to work with someone else, and the foundation of all those relationships is trust. And so I want to thank Eric and the Maximum Acceleration team for giving me the opportunity to be here. Again, my name is Rene Rodriguez, and my company is betterloanofficers.com. And I founded Better Loan Officers with the vision of to reinstill trust in the mortgage industry. And we know, and all of you know even better than I do probably, that this industry has been through a pretty tough run over the last several years. And me as an observer, as a participant, as a speaker, and somebody in the industry, one of the frustrating things has been is that there are so many good stories out there. There's so many top-notch professionals, people that are taking care of clients, people that are truly adding a ton of value, and yet they're still left to fend with the remnants of what some of the folks of the past have left over, some of the mistrust and the stigma that comes with being associated with this industry. And so my underlying motivation for this is really to create a space for professionals like yourself to really showcase yourselves, showcase your story, and to aid the process of building trust. And I'll get into more of how Better Loan Officers work at the end, but I really want to walk us through first and foremost really this concept of psychology of trust, specifically in the digital age. Now, as I get started here, I want to make sure that you guys know how we can stay connected. If you are somebody who uses Twitter, our handle is BetterLO or @BetterLO. Please feel free to quote, say things, connect that way, follow us, etc. And on Facebook, you can find us at facebook.com/BetterLO. That's probably one of the easiest ways to stay in touch with what we're going. I'm usually posting videos and blogs and articles, and it's just a good way for us to interact going forward. So one of my favorite quotes of all time, and I start almost every single one of my presentations this way because I think it grounds us in something that is crucial. And it's Einstein's definition of insanity. And he says that doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, is one way to look at insanity. And I do that because I look at the reality of innovation, the reality of looking at a new way of being, changing our business, improving our business, selling more, however you want to look at it, requires us to do something different. It requires us to change at some level. And the tough part, if we aren't honest with ourselves as to the reality that change causes resistance, then we're missing one of the biggest components when it comes to self-improvement, building trust, improving our business. And so today, my hope is that I do share with you some things that are very, very different. And as I share those things that are very, very different, you might find this feeling on the inside of resistance start to pop up. And if that does, then, you know, maybe you might want to reframe that for yourself and say, okay, maybe this resistance is a good thing because I'm doing something different, therefore I may be getting a different result. And so I want to challenge us here. I want to challenge our thinking. I want to challenge the way we've looked at trust, the way we've looked at our business over the last several years. I know for myself, with the new research that I've been privy to, it has completely turned my world upside down. And you know, I remember when trust was something that we all could control in terms of just through our body language. And so I'd like to begin with a definition. The definition of trust is a firm belief in the reliability, truth, ability, or strength of someone or something. I think it's a powerful definition, you know, that sense of reliability, truth, ability, and strength. And just think about those words and how important they are in your business and how important they are in building relationships with real estate agents, with insurance agents, and other people that send you business, and of course your clients as well. You guys aren't the only people in this business, not the only ones that are trying to make a difference. And so others are also vying for this trust. And of course, when trust is there, it's easier for people to hear your value proposition. You stand out, and relationships are born. So when we look at trust, I like to use the example of art. This is one of my favorite pictures of art because a lot of times we can look at something like this, and you know, I know for myself, I'm not somebody who is into looking at artwork and all those different pieces, but I look at this, I see a rock formation and water, and you know, for myself, I can admire it and say, wow, you know, it looks pretty, it looks nice. But an artist might come by and look at this and see something totally different. And that's what my goal is today, is to have us take a very different look at something we've been staring at. And sometimes it takes a very different perspective to see that maybe some hidden value or a hidden message or something that maybe we weren't seeing because of the way that we were looking at things. And so a lot of times it means that we need to look at things from a different perspective. So building trust through behavior. I think we're all familiar with that concept, that a lot of times trust is one of those things that happens through how we act and being predictable and being reliable with people. Authenticity is one of those big pieces, being trusting and honest and vulnerable and consistent. All those things really come together to help us build trust when behavior is there. And of course, we're also very familiar, I think, with building trust through body language. And I think there's an inherent ability for us to notice who has the right body language, who can we not trust, and through things like eye contact, handshakes, arm posture, the distance that people keep with us. Those are the things that I think we all rely upon in terms of behavior and body language. But nowadays, everything's changed. We've got relationships that are being built through a computer, through a cell phone, through smartphones and email. And all of a sudden, people are still saying, or we're still trying to say, hey, can you trust me through this thing? But yet we don't have all those resources and all those tools that we used to have, that handshake and the eye contact, because people are looking for things and looking for information in a completely different way. So we look at people trying to get our attention, even us trying to get this attention. And if those are any geeks in the room, this is the actual binary code for, you know, can you trust me? But you know, we look at this interaction, this relationship between now ourselves and a computer screen or some sort of interface. The game has changed, and it's changed in a way that not only affects how we behave, but it affects the way we communicate and the way we act and work with people. So I want to give the foundation, and I don't know how many people have heard any of my talks before, but all of my work is grounded in neuroscience and brain research. And my passion for it stems from the reality that if we understand what happens in this thing that we all have, which is the brain, it's the one thing that we all have in common, and it's the one thing that really can help us understand and predict and really just rationalize behavior. I think it makes life a lot easier. And so I subscribe very heavily to this concept called the Triune brain theory. It's been around for 45 plus years. It was developed by Dr. Paul McLean of the National Institute of Mental Health. And Triune really means three major components, tri meaning three. The two we're going to focus on today are the reptilian brain and the limbic system. We're going to dive a little bit into what we call the neocortex and an offshoot of the neocortex, which would be the prefrontal lobe. So those four areas, or those three areas, if you will, are the three major areas that can dictate our behavior and decide, in essence, if trust is happening or not, if people understand our value proposition or not, if we stand out amongst the competition or not. And specifically, when we look at the human brain, I look at sensory input. When someone says something to me, if they look at me, if the eye contact, or if they're doing something in terms of their body language or their behavior, all of that sensory input comes either something we see, we touch, we smell, we taste, or hear. And all that input is then routed through the brainstem, specifically the reptilian brain. And so the more we understand what happens at that moment that this behavior enters our awareness, the more astute we're going to be in understanding what's going on. And we also not only have to understand it in our clients, but we also have to understand it in ourselves. So let's take a look at this reptilian brain. The reptilian brain, they call it the reptilian brain because all reptiles have it. It's the first part of the brain to develop. It's in charge of all your autonomic functions, like your breathing, your heart rate, and your digestion. All the things that have to happen automatically. There's no permission needed to beat your heart or breathe or digest your food. It just happens. And so it's given three tools to protect this function. It's given the fight, flight, freeze response. I'm sure some of you guys have all heard that before. It's also called the general adaptation syndrome, where we adapt to our environment to make sure that we survive. So in essence, the visual that I like to give, in essence, is we have this big panic button. So if something enters our visual field, let's say this shark here, we see a shark, it sends that message right to the visual cortex, hits the panic button, and in essence, the reptilian brain takes over function. Now, I give you this visual because what happens is if you look at the brain through functional MRI scans during this flight, fight, freeze response, in essence, all sugar begins to metabolize at the lowest part of our brain. So there's no function, there's nothing being lit up in the higher parts of our brain, because we're here, in essence, for survival. If you see that shark in the water, you're not going to be asking if can you check an email or asking questions. You're only going to be thinking, do I need to fight for my life? Do I need to run or swim as fast as I can or freeze? Maybe this shark won't see me. And so the way that this brain function works is through the secretion of cortisol. Our brain, in essence, has this continuum of 1 to 0, if you will, 1 being not a lot of stress, and cortisol is the stress hormone. So if we wake up in the morning, we're feeling happy, we're maybe at a 1, very low cortisol. Maybe we're at a 5, maybe we're late to work, and a 10 would be, in essence, the shark. And so 10 level stress means death. And if our brain feels that there's a 10 level stress, that much cortisol is secreted, then we are going to act in a sense of survival. The challenge with this, I mean, that's a good thing because it keeps us alive. The challenge with it, though, is that there are a lot of things that can cause a level 10 stress that actually won't kill us, that are completely illogical, and then they won't kill us. For example, public speaking. We've all heard that public speaking is one of the greatest fears that we all have. And I think we can all relate to the reality of going up to having our talk, everything memorized, and we get on stage, and all of a sudden we freeze, and we forget everything. We go blank. And the reason is because the limbic system, the next part of our brain, gives us access to our memory. And when that goes blank and we are in reptilian, we don't have access to our memories. And so we forget things, and we get in this, in essence, reptilian. So take a look at this picture. I want you to burn it into your brain. And I want you to think about this is the brain that when realtors get upset with you for maybe something not closing or some surprise happening, this is how they look. Or a client that isn't upset that isn't happy with something, or even yourself or your spouse during an argument. This is what the brain that is functioning at that time. And so it's important for us to understand what capabilities, what resources this brain has so that we can adjust ourselves to make sure that we can be most effective. So when we look at this reptilian brain, of course, now the next part of the brain is this thing called the limbic system. The limbic system, they also call the mammalian brain because all mammals have it, horses and dogs. It's the home of our values, center for emotions. It's also the gateway to long-term memory. So this part of the brain is very, very powerful. If you think about all of those different pieces in terms of how powerful the limbic system is, just think about somebody that you know that might be in love with the wrong person, and you try to rationalize with them and talk to them out of this whole thing, but at the same time, it doesn't work. People are just too caught up in this, and it doesn't work and they're caught up in that emotion. And the reason is that there are 35,000 times more neurons coming from that part of the brain than there are when we make a decision than when we make a logical decision. So it's important for us to understand how this section or how this part of the brain works. The next part of the brain is this thing called the neocortex. Now, the neocortex is the human brain. This is the part of the brain that sets us apart from the animal kingdom, if you will. This is the part of the brain that says, that really proves the fact that we are human. We are the ones that can think and rationalize and think forward, problem solve, all those different pieces, have language, if you will. But the challenge when this happens, learning logic language, is when we are in reptilian, these two parts of the brain, in essence, are on lockdown. We don't have access to the resources that these two brains happen, or have access, or offer us, if you will. So the neocortex, in essence, the learning logic and language goes away. Imagine not being able to logic with somebody, that they can't learn something new and you can't speak to them. This is what happens in reptilian. Now emotions, values, and memory also go away. Think of the power of that. Somebody that has a very strong value set might not act from their values when they're in reptilian. And so when you look at people that we've dealt with that are highly, highly stressed, that they act in these ways that really just don't make any sense to us, now instead of us judging who they are, now we look at this and say, okay, they must be acting out of the reptilian. So the question goes in is, how do I calm that reptilian brain? We're going to go into that. The reptilian brain, in essence, I want you to think about it. It asks one question. It says, am I safe? Am I safe? And there are three things, if you want to write these down, that create safety. The three words are structure, order, and predictability. Think about how safe your clients feel when you give them the structure, order, predictability of the mortgage process, what to expect, ensure that you preempt any potential fears or potential issues before they come up. And also think about how they feel when you catch them off guard and you surprise them. Think of the difference. The difference there is the reptilian brain's needs are not being met. And so this question of am I safe is what the reptilian brain asks. Next part of the brain, once we answer that question, yes, we get rid of the reptilian, but now we've got to deal with this limbic system. And the question that it asks now is, do you care about me? Now it's capable of the outside world. The reptilian says only cares about itself. Like you can't pet a reptile, it's not going to start wagging its tail. But you can pet a mammal like a dog or an elephant, or excuse me, a dog or a horse, if you will. And it responds because now it's capable of dealing with the outside world. In fact, it needs the outside world interaction. And so this limbic system says, do you care about me? Yes, I know I'm safe, but do you have my best interest at heart? A lot of this comes through listening and repeating and making sure that people know that they're spending time to deal with the relationship aspects, if you will. This is the part of the brain that joins a church. This is the part of the brain that joins a team. And so it's a very, very important question for us to be able to ask in terms of how do we create safety and how do we show that we care. So those two elements, once we answer that, now, of course, we've gotten rid of the padlock on the limbic system and we get finally access to our emotions, values, and long-term memory. So now we still have a value proposition to offer, and the neocortex is the only one that's able to understand rates and closing costs and the different loan programs and why you're different and customer service and all those different pieces. But this brain has a question that it asks as well, and it says, is this engaging? Is this interesting to me? And so now if you've all had a very boring teacher that spoke in a monotonous voice and maybe didn't use visuals to communicate how they felt, it wouldn't be very long before you feel like falling asleep. And the reason is it's not engaging. The brain doesn't have any stimulus to work from. It becomes, in essence, too simple for the brain, so it pushes that functionality to a lower part of the reptilian brain and it shuts off. It's the same thing if you've ever driven home from work and you go into this trance and you got home, but you don't remember any of the drive. It's almost scary, but at the same time, your brain was in automatic pilot. And the moment that something jumps out in front of you, maybe a squirrel or dog or somebody jumps out in front of you, you're able to respond because you're fully attentive to what's going on. It's not so much in the conscious forefront, if you will. So once we answer this question of is this engaging, we finally have access to learning logic and language, and we've got full brain access here. And this is what we're trying to get to when it comes to building trust. This safety question, in essence, for the reptilian brain, is also the question of, can I trust you? And imagine that if you cannot answer that question of trust, does any of this other stuff matter? None of it matters. The foremost, the only thing that matters here, the first thing, the most important thing is creating safety, and safety creates trust. Now, of course, the prefrontal lobe, which is part of this neocortex, is the CEO of the brain. It's in charge of all future actions, and it asks the question of, is this inspiring? And inspiration, we're not going to go too deep into this because I wanted to stay with the beginning portions, and we don't have a lot of time. This is typically a 2-day course that we go over this. But when we look at this question of inspiration, it's what makes something inspiration is when our future action is tied directly to our value center. That's why when we volunteer for something, we don't ask to get paid because the payment is in the activity. It's in the values. And so what we tell people is that the more you can align with your clients' values, the more you understand values are around saving, a home for their kids and schooling, and the more you can help them align to a mortgage product or even a realtor with them, the better off it's going to be, et cetera. So when we look at these elements, of course, we're trying to deal in this world now that's digital, but we have this brain, this down here in the reptilian brain, that's almost primitive. And so people get on the computer, and maybe they're not as comfortable as others, but there's all these people and information trying to gather information, trying to build trust, and trying to gather email addresses and information being tracked and watched and all that stuff. So the internet to people, so to some, can be scary. Now, the reality is most people are turning to the internet for information, but yet we have to now compete through this window screen, and we don't have much to work with. So I want to share some eye-opening statistics with you. And when I read these, this truly changed my perspective on how I look at this world of trust, of getting referrals. For myself, I've been in sales training for the last 17 years, and to think that a lot of the things that I have been teaching are still true, but can be trumped by some new information was completely eye-opening to me and shocking. So I'm going to share these with you pretty quickly. And number one is traffic to the top 10 review sites grew on average of 158% last year. And this statistic is about 3 years old. And I'm showing you some older statistics just to give you proof of that this is stuff that's been around for a while. 97% of who made a purchase based on an online review found that to be accurate. That was back in 2007. 92% of people have more confidence in information found online, more confidence than anything from a sales clerk or another source. Think about that. Every one of us would be considered in this study a sales clerk, somebody trying to sell something. So people have more confidence in what they find online. This is Wall Street Journal. 70% of people trust unknown users. This would be unknown users that are just leaving reviews for a company. 20% trust experts, 14% trust advertising, and 8% trust celebrities. So there's things that we spend a lot of money on. And say, well, so we could have an expert really talk about what we do. It's only 27%. But here, this is saying, how do we leverage the mass of the people that we've been working with, the people that are the consumers, those that people can relate with. 75% of people don't believe that companies tell the truth in advertising. 70% consult reviews or ratings before purchasing. Now, this was back in 2008. That number has gone up a little bit. Now, in 2013, that's up to 85% of people consult reviews before making a purchase. 85%. 7 in 10 people who read reviews share them. And they share them with friends and families and colleagues, which, of course, amplifies the impact. And 34% have turned to social media to air their feelings about a company, 26% to express dissatisfaction, and 23% to share companies and products that they like. So this is a big piece here because we're talking about building trust. And one of the things that we talk about when we have these a little bit longer session is we say, okay, how do we handle negative reviews or bad press, if you will? And one of the things that we talk about is, okay, if somebody has a bad experience, I mean, if we've been in business long enough, there's been somebody you've dealt with that didn't have a great experience. It's just part of life. So what happens then? What is the psychology of what's going on there? And one of the things we said is that the limbic system is that part of the brain that says, do you care about me? And if they have a reptilian type of experience, what people need and human nature needs is they need the ability to express their dissatisfaction and for someone to hear them. Now, I've also been doing for the last, almost 19 years, work with some of the largest manufacturing companies in the world, specifically in the areas of change management and conflict resolution. We're dealing with unions and people that have had difficult issues, and over 100,000 people we've trained and worked with. What we have come to find out is that people don't always need to when they speak something, they don't need people to act on what they say, but what they really need is for people to feel heard. We all want to feel like someone listened to us. And so if somebody has a bad experience, and you don't listen to them, give them a place to talk about that bad experience, a place to express and find a resolution, people are going to find a place to do that. Now what they're doing is they're turning online. And these numbers have gone way up since 2010. So when they turn online, they have somebody that is listening. That's people. And they can see visually, I wrote something on my computer. I see it on my screen. Therefore, people are going to read it. My limbic system is now satisfied. I have that closing of the loop, if you will. And so we have to make sure that we give people an opportunity to close the loop with us if something negative happens. This is one of the ways that we avoid that. So why do people share? Well, 46% of people feel that they can be brutally honest on the internet. 38% aim to influence others through expressing their opinions online. So reviews, this also was fascinating. If anybody does any sort of conversion or has a website, by having reviews on your site, you can boost conversion by over 20%. Now think about it. It's the point of purchase, the point of making a very big decision. If you see, if I'm about to do that, I see a list of reviews, there's people that are positively influencing that, now all of a sudden that potential conversion goes up by 20%. So now, I shared with you some older statistics. I want to share with you just two stats here from 2013 that just came out. And these are the stats that blew my mind, and I want to give you an example of how those came to be. 79% of people, of consumers, trust online reviews just as much as a personal referral. Now, just think about that for a moment and what that's saying. I have been training referral generation, referral language, and scripting for so long, and when I heard that 79% of people trust an online review, the same as a referral, I didn't believe it. I have to be honest, I did not believe it. It was something that I internally fought. But with this next statistic, this next stat, I'm going to give you an example of what happened to me. And now 85% of consumers check online reviews before determining which business to use. So now here's 85% of people going online. I think we all know that. And the question is, what are they finding? And do you have a presence? Do you have a presence? And here's what I'm telling people is that every one of us has an online reputation. The question is, are you in control of it? And is it saying what you want it to do? Is it helping you build trust? Is it helping you solidify that relationship? Or is it something that you're saying, I know I do. I'm going to get around to it at some point. That's one of the scariest things that you could be saying for your career right now, because what's happening is that whether you want to get reviewed now, there are sites available that people can review you. And so good news is the mortgage industry is one of the slower industries to adapt and to adopt this reality. And so we still have time to really get ahead of the game and take control of that online reputation. So I want to share a story with you. This was, gosh, it must have been 3-4 months ago. One of my closest friends was getting married, and we were looking at, I was looking at hotels to stay in Almirada, Florida, and the Keys. And of course, I type in Almirada, and the first thing you see, of course, are reviews, 4.0, 4.1, 3.5 of all the different hotels. And I saw that. I'm like, okay, it wasn't helping me too much at the moment, but so I went on Facebook and I asked somebody, hey, does anybody give me recommendations for hotels in the Keys, especially specifically Almirada? And I got a friend of mine suggested that I look at the Conch Inn. They said it was great, it was affordable, and it was nice. I thought, good, this is awesome. So of course I go online, I type in the Conch Inn, and I want to know what is in essence, I wasn't even looking for reviews, but I was looking for pictures. What does it look like? And the moment that I got onto this, if you can take a look, what do you think is the first thing that stood out for me? And remember, I was going just to look at pictures. And if you look down here, that is the first thing that stood out for me. Rude, dirty, and cheap. So now, I've got a big dilemma here, a huge dilemma. I came on, I just got personally referred something, and this is what I see. So now we have, in essence, the dilemma. On the left side here, I've got the power of an online review, but I've also got a trusted referral. Which is the one that I trust? Now, as this was happening, I wasn't aware of the scenario that I was being presented with. I wasn't aware that this is what was going on. But I'm going to show you real quick, in essence, what happened. Who do I trust? At the end of the day, I trusted the review. In fact, instantly, when I saw the review, the first thought that went through my head was, gosh, was he crazy? And instantly, he lost credibility with me. Now, I wasn't even aware of this process till about a week or 2 weeks afterwards when I went back and I thought to myself, oh my gosh, that's true. I wouldn't even ask that person for a referral anymore. And when we look at this, just the reality of this piece, I'm venturing that most of us online here, and I did see Michael Mandis is on the phone. I'm glad to see you on there. Michael is truly one of the leading experts when it comes to leveraging online reviews. And if you look on our site, I've used his story a lot. He's generated in, gosh, the last 18 months over I think it was $125,000 of additional revenue by leveraging online reviews. And I can't say how many stories I've heard like that. And the thing that those who are leveraging reviews are saying right now, they're almost saying, you know, shh, Rene, don't tell anybody because this is our secret sauce here. And but this reality here, what do I trust, changed my paradigm completely. So here's some other statistics that really shocked me as well. This was looking at the percentage of consumers reading more than 7 reviews before they form an opinion. Now here's what I think is important. Back in 2011, only 44% of people read more than 7 reviews. In 2012, 35%. But now in 2013, only 22% read more than 7 reviews. Now I thought that was fascinating because what it tells me is that now people are trusting reviews faster. Back in 2011, people were saying, okay, I see some reviews, but yeah, let me read some more. I'm going to need some more before I can actually form an opinion. Now, they look at a few reviews and they make instant opinions. So really now more than ever is it important that we take a look at what our reputation is and make sure that we have the right presence that fits our brand. So now we look at how do online customer reviews affect your opinion of a business. You look at positive reviews make me trust a business more. In 2011, it was around 55%. In 2013, now it's upwards of 73%. So people that read reviews but they don't influence them very much, not too high. And people that don't take a notice, not too high. So people are looking at these reviews. So how do online customers influence your, or how online consumer reviews influence your decision? You look at over here, positive customer reviews make me more likely to use a business. Again, the trend is going up, and it's going up fast. So do you trust online customer reviews as much as personal recommendations? Of course, it's if you look at the numbers that are happening over here, it's still going high. So I want to share one more piece with you before we talk a little bit more about how Better Loan Officers works and take some questions. This came from Realtor Magazine, and I looked at this. They offered the top 5 ways to build trust in the digital age. This is specifically in the digital age. And this number 1 was recommendations from people that I know. I thought that was great. Okay, good. 2, 70% consumer opinions posted online. 3, 58%, which would be editorial content such as newspaper articles. So if you go out and write newspaper articles, that's nowhere near people that you know and consumer opinions. 50% branded websites and 40% emails that I signed up for. So I look at this, and the top 2 pieces of this are, in essence, reviews. And how do we leverage those reviews? And so before I go in any further on this, so I want to make sure that before I jump into Better Launches, I want to pass over to Eric and ask Eric, have there been any questions? I can't see that list, Eric. Or is there anything that you wanted me to cover on that first?
There's been a couple of questions come through. Primarily, it's like, okay, we get it. We understand the importance of online reviews, and everybody's kind of chomping at the bit, wanting to know how to help manage the online reviews at this point. So you've got some good stuff. By the way, Rene, if you hit the Alt-Tab button, you can bring back up the GoToMeeting platform. Sometimes it does have a tendency to hide on the newer Windows systems. So that might help you actually bring that Q&A back up on top of you'll still be able to see your slide presentation, but and the audience won't see the Q&A and control panel on your side. But if you want to try that, you're welcome to. Like I said, guys, for those of you, I mean, when Rene introduced me to this thing, I guess it was I started talking about this about 3 months ago, just about the time you were ready to launch this thing for the first time. And one of the things that I saw in what Rene is doing here is that everything that Rene has taught me over the almost 10 years we've been working together, and a good portion of that time where Rene served as my personal coach, is that the landscape's shifting. I mean, the way people shop today is radically different than it was 5 to 8 years ago, and that has a huge impact on our interaction with our realtors. It has a huge impact on our interaction with consumers and home buyers. It has a huge result or impact on how we procure business and secure business when it comes to marketing and lead capturing conversion. So, Rene, I would say that probably the best use of time here would be to start to focus on how exactly you and your amazing system and training provide the access to allow these guys to create that kind of positive online, how to manage their online reputation as we move this forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was able to, I just put the screen on pause for a second so I can pull up the show. Make sure, can you see my screen now?
Yes, so we are seeing the Michael Mandis picture. All right. Rene, did we lose you? Looks like Rene's having some technical difficulties with the audio just temporarily. I'm sure he'll be back on as quickly as he possibly can. For those of you who are going to go ahead and, for those of you who have questions, please feel free to go ahead and continue to post those questions in the Q&A platform at this time. There's been a couple of questions that have come through that I guess I'll kind of start to address on Rene's behalf until we get his audio back, until he hops back in here. One of the things that one of the questions was asked, who is the personnel organization very successful in leveraging online reviews? Screenshot that you
can you hear me now?
Awesome, definitely.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, sorry about that. So I was able to look at some of the questions, and somebody that asked about with the power of Yelp and Trulia and Zillow out there. And it's a great question, absolutely great question. And the reality is those engines are very powerful at the time, and they've got a lot of Google, in essence, presence and things like that. And I think that there's different approaches to people that take different. Some people say, the reality is we have to be present there, and we have to be present in a big way. And I know that there's some people have some really great strategies, which I can talk about. Michael Mandis definitely has some. Tyler Osby is another person who has got some fantastic strategies. The challenge and my concern with services, and specifically with Yelp and Zillow and Trulia, is that you lose control with those. Those sites are for the consumer, and those sites are designed so that even through Yelp, if you are out there proactively requesting reviews, you are automatically violating their terms and services agreement. And so when we look at those realities of, let's say you get a negative review, we've heard the horror stories, and if you Google some of those stories from Yelp, that Yelp has this thing called the filtering system. So if for some reason, I know somebody that had 200 positive reviews, and they had, I think, 3 or 4 negative reviews, and filtered out those 200 positive, only showing the 4 negative. And if you don't know where to look on the Yelp profile, you won't even be able to find where those positive reviews are. And so there's some interesting practices. There's some interesting practices that happen with some of those, but I think that you do need a presence there. You definitely need a presence there. What we've tried to do with better loan officers is create something that's for the loan officer, where you have control. And I can now see my questions. And so, Larry, I want to make sure that I answered your question. And his name, the person that put him up here, is Michael Mandis, is the one that has been very, very successful utilizing those. And so please make sure you guys keep asking the questions. And Eric, I'm just doing a quick check to make sure that you guys can still hear me.
Yep, we can hear you fine.
Okay, good. So, the site basically has 3 major functions. You can review loan officers, find a loan officer, and we have a learning center where you can have tutorials. I always put sales content on there and different pieces to help grow your business. You can do a search up here at the top. I'll just type in Ed. This works. And so you've got several people here. Ed Conarchy, he's got 4 reviews. Tracy, he's got 3 reviews. You got Dee Dee Stoner, he's got 4 reviews. But what you see is they have what's called an ethos verification. This is our branding, our way of saying we've verified who you are, and you've verified the NMLS. In fact, in about 30 days, we've just solidified a relationship with the NMLS where we're going to be a very exclusive relationship where we're going to have a syndicated stream right to the NMLS. And so the officer is going to be represented with the officers. And so it's going to be something where people can just come in and claim their profile. And you can, of course, claim our upgradable services within that. So it's a very exciting time for us, and I think it's going to be a pretty powerful step on our end. So when we look at ethos verification, look at the difference with somebody who's not ethos verified here. And so this is just Ted, he got a free account. But the difference being here, of course, is just from a consumer standpoint or a realtor standpoint, it's just there's one notch less, if you will, credibility. And I always tell people, please make sure when you create a profile, put your picture up there. It just makes things look a lot easier. And so if you look at, let's say, ads, you can read it for reviews. Profile. Everybody's reviewed in the areas of communication, accuracy, turnaround, and responsiveness. And then we break reviews down from real estate agent reviews to consumer reviews. And so both of these, of course, if you build with consumers, they're going to look at those. If you're building trust with real estate agents, they're going to look at those. And so when you log in to your account, I can add this in here. Of course, I'm the world's worst multitasker here, so I got to make sure I put this in correctly. Sorry, guys. There we go. When you log into your account, look at Jeremy's stuff. He's given me access to it. So this, everybody gets a dashboard. And on this dashboard, you get profile metrics to see who's looked at your profile, say, within the last 90 days. You've got reviews that are coming from 2 different websites. As a professional member, you get 2 websites, one that's located on our server, which would be betterloanofficers.com, and another one that's located on My Mortgage page. The purpose of the My Mortgage page piece is when you send people to your review site, you're in essence sending them. So let's say that you send them to your review page to get a review. They can give you that review, but they can also click the find button, if you will, and find competitors. As a professional member, what we give people is an unbranded page that's located on mymortgagepage.com. There's no links, there's no branding from betterloanofficers.com. So this becomes in essence, your own private profile. And even the profile page, when you have that profile, looks like it's just yours. There's no Better Loan Officer branding, there's nothing there. And as a professional member, you can actually embed this profile right into your website, so people don't even have to come to our site. You can share it through Facebook, LinkedIn, through emails. Click the email button and something pops up. So a lot of really simple ways of utilizing the service. Very, very simple to get started, easy to edit the profile, and it's just a clean-looking site. We wanted this to be something very simple and something that loan officers could be proud of. We could really display the professionalism that they have. So I'll stop there, and I'll open it up to questions and things that people may have.
All right. Well, Rene, one of the questions that I have is you use the term ethos verified, and I know you've talked about that in some of the other programs I've seen you at recently, the whole concept of ethos and what ethos really means and what that pertains to, and how that portrays to, or how important that is to both live as well as online marketing and sales communications. Can you go maybe a little bit deeper into that? And in the meantime, I'm going to switch back to where I'm going to go ahead and grab the slides from you and go back to the Q&A slide, if that's all right.
For sure. And just on our site, there's what we have is what is the ethos verification, and the backdrop to this, and really it's the philosophy, is that ethos is a Greek word meaning character or credibility. And so we believe that loan officers must establish ethos. And so when I do presentation training, the first thing we do is how does a presenter or how does a sales professional establish ethos with their consumer, or with the person they're trying to build trust with. And we want them to have it in the areas of moral expertise and knowledge. And so ethos is, in essence, something that people give you. A doctor, because they have a PhD behind their name, has instant ethos. And so somebody that lacks ethos, imagine somebody that's fat and out of shape, trying to give you advice on how to lose weight. They carry no ethos, and because they have no ethos, therefore, it's hard for us to trust what they're saying, and they carry no credibility with us. And so ethos verification is our way of saying we've verified who you are, and we want people to start thinking about how do they build their own credibility with that. So we provide a lot of pieces, even in our Learning Center here. When they click on it, I'll open up the Learning Center here. A lot of different blog posts. We've got a video library where there's sales training. A lot of the Psychology of Trust webinars are going to be in here, tutorials on how to do it, FAQs, events, tips, things like that. So a lot of really, really good stuff that we're trying to help people on how do they build their ethos. And of course, this is going to be growing as the days go on as well. So the question
Awesome.
from Larry is, are the reviews syndicated to other review sites? Not at the moment. We are looking into the possibility of that. I think that it's really a relationship with the other sites if they're going to allow that. It definitely is something that we'd like to be able to do. But again, my only concern with that is that we want to make sure that we're protecting everybody and giving people the control they have over their reputation. But that is definitely within the next 60 days something that we are either going to have to make a decision to go forward with or not to. So I know it's kind of a vague question, but it's definitely something that is on our strategy that we're looking at right now.
Okay. Rene, one last thing that I do want you to go ahead and make sure you share with our audience here is, and there's a number of questions coming through pertaining to this, is okay, how do they get access to the system? What are the different levels of service and what kind of investment are involved? Would you mind sharing with us just kind of the basics of how to engage betterloanofficer.com?
Absolutely. Just go, it's so simple. Go to betterloanofficers.com, click on create your profile. You fill out a couple different pieces of information. It's very, 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 very simple. And I think I have the different levels right here, if you can see those.
Yeah, we're seeing them great. So the free one, anybody can access, anybody who's on this program, just go ahead and jump to the betterloanofficers.com, and that is officers with plural, correct?
Yes. And so the difference between, and here's what we'll do for your group is we're so free, of course, anybody can get signed up. To get verified, it's $149 a year, where you get the ethos verification. You can actually also, we're doing, I think, service that can allow you to dispute a review. So if you get something that's questionable, dispute it, we pull it down, and you get to enter into, we enter into an investigation. But our goal is when people feel like there's a missed service happened and to go back and fix it. So we want to make sure you create that. Your profile's pushed to the top. But the professional membership for $249 gives you all of the features that you saw there with, being able to embed your profile, invite-only webinars, social media sharing tools, and the unbranded page on my mortgage page. Now, for your group here, if they want to use the MA, I think this is, let me just change that one. The code for your group is MA 2014. And what you do is sign up for the professional membership here, but you just put in as a promo code MA 2014, and you'll get $100 off your membership.
Right, and that is, just so you know, guys, keep in mind, that's $149 per year for a professional membership. I mean, you're talking barely more than $10 a month, $11 or $12 a month, to be able to have a website and platform that gives you a website that not only you can send your clients to where there's no competition. I mean, like even on places like Yelp and Triune and some of those other public review sites, your competition's banner ads are right along the right-hand side of the profile your customer is trying to type about you. And God forbid any prospects go to that website, not only do they see your reviews, but they see all the flashy banner ads for all of your competition. Would you not want to develop or manage that reputation by sending them to a site that you have influence and control over and that does not have any of your competitors' branding associated with the website in any way, shape, or form? So I mean, that right there for for $10 a month, I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer to me personally. But again, you do have the option of the free profile. Please at least go there and create your free profile, so at least you've got something up on the site that allows you to be seen and allows people to see you and provide testimonials. Start using that and leveraging it. Start closing more loans with it. In fact, one of the things you just mentioned here, Rene, and I'm just going to throw this out there and shoot from the hip a little bit, but what do you think about a future webinar that deals with kind of the customer service elements and aspects of this? I know Rene, you and I have talked about key conversations like the fence sitters conversation or a mending fences conversation.
Absolutely.
What do you do when the customer is upset?
We did that at Mastermind in terms of I remember just a couple of weeks ago together, and the psychology of how do you deal with a difficult customer or a difficult realtor, and how do you turn that into an opportunity? Absolutely. I think what I tell people is that we're going to be putting so much content in the Learning Center, and that we've charged as much as $300 per webinar, and you're going to get 2 or 3 of these a month. through that membership. And so we're trying to make this such a no-brainer for folks, because it really is something that's built for you guys to be able to take your business to the next level and give you that place where you can really start taking control of your reputation.
Definitely, definitely. Well, guys, there's a few more questions that have come through here. I want to make sure that we take the time to do those questions justice and review those thoroughly. But we're going to be moving through this program fairly quickly. Rene, I'm not sure if you've got your microphone opened up. If you wouldn't mind muting for me, I think that's where that echo is coming from, possibly.
Absolutely.
Let me see if I'm still hearing the echoing effect. Okay, good. That cleared it up. All right. So, guys, just in the interest of making sure we get everybody out of here on time, I'm sure Rene is going to be hanging out for just a few more minutes as we try and close this down and clarify some of the opportunities that are coming up. I did want to just spend a couple of quick minutes with you to share with you some of the things that we at Maximum Acceleration do and some of the upcoming opportunities for additional, more in-depth training and development, if you like, kind of general information that we've been introduced to today. And many of you are asking how to engage deeper or further, get more help and support. And what it really comes down to is, how we create accountability. And the reality is that any time in life that we want to grow or evolve, we're going to go through a process, an evolution. And if you look at all the top performers in any industry and look at the sporting world particularly, Michael Jordan's, the Wayne Gretzky's, the Tom Brady's, they all had somebody who was an outside resource, a guide, somebody who could help them see the things that they were too close to recognize for their own purpose. Person who cared enough about their own success that they were willing to help them step out and work to develop their skill, much like Rene has done for me many times throughout my career, to be the person who cares enough about me to point out to me what I don't know and what I'm doing that is hurting my progress and success as a business professional and as a presenter and as a teacher and trainer, which is something that I'm very truly passionate about. I mean, our only goal here at Maximum Acceleration is helping you get from where you are to where you want to be as fast as humanly possible, and we do that through a systematic process that we've developed over the last 12 plus years, tens of thousands of hours of research and development work and hands-on in the trenches style coaching with our clients. Long story short, in 1998, Brigham Young University did a research study talking about what it really takes to create action on important ideas. And what they really drilled it down to was there were 4 key things that it took to create a 95% chance of completion. One is you had to have a complete action plan. 2, you need to have a commitment to a time frame for completing or a deadline for that action plan. 3 is you need to share that action plan with somebody. And 4th, you need to ask that person to hold you accountable to that timeline. You guys have heard me share the running buddy analogy many times on this platform and in this series. The reality is that it's so much easier to keep the promises we make to somebody we care, trust, and respect, and it's so much harder. It's so much harder to break those promises than it is to break promises we make to ourselves. So if you're looking for that kind of support, guidance, and accountability in your life, if you're looking for somebody who can give you that outside perspective and help you see what you don't know that could be right on your nose, the best way we've found to help you take advantage of that is to go ahead and take advantage of what we call our strategy session, which is a system, a process. It's a one-on-one session with one of our coaches that allows you to be able to have some feedback and guidance on what are the things that you can change in your business, what does the process look like, help you feel and experience what the coach process involves, and talk about what the next steps look like for you and your team. If you'd like to take advantage of one of those strategy sessions, feel free to just go ahead and actually, if you want, the easiest and fastest way, and keep in mind these are filled on a first-come, first-served basis. We only have a handful of these sessions open each week. But you're welcome to go ahead and post that in the Q&A directly here in the platform. Give us the best phone number and email address for those Q&A, for the strategy session requests, and we'll get you set up and scheduled for one of those appointments with one of our coaching staff one-on-one to talk about the different options and levels of service and what it takes to get the follow-through and commitment from us that we're going to help you get to your goals in record speed. Secondly, you've got a couple of conference opportunities to attend. There's some great training programs coming up just a hair over a month away, actually a little less than a month away, in beautiful New Orleans, the Hotel Leon. There are two different back-to-back conferences going on, one of which is the Mortgage Star Conference, which is a first-of-its-kind women's leadership conference for, female mortgage professionals. And we're going to be, we've got an all-star lineup and some great speakers. Last week's guest speaker, Ginger Bell, is going to be emceeing that event. And what we've done here at Maximum Acceleration, because we're so committed to the quality of the programming and experience you're going to get at this two-day intensive conference, is we have bought a limited block of, we only have 20 of these available, but we bought a limited block of tickets that can be purchased with a $400 discount. For only $295, you can get your ticket to the Mortgage Star Conference using the discount code MAXSPECIAL. Of course, you go to the website for that is www.mortgage-star.net, mortgage-star.net, or if you're interested in more information about that program, you can certainly call our customer service department at the phone number you see on all slides, the 888-819-7047. Talk to our sales director, Christy, and she'll get you set up with a ticket for that Mortgage Star Conference for only $295, which is a $400 discount on the Mortgage Star Conference. Also, you have the opportunity to attend for free the Ultimate Mortgage Expo. This deadline was recently extended, and you can still get a discount ticket for the Ultimate Mortgage Expo, which is the 7th through the 9th, which is Monday through Wednesday of that week. Use discount code MAXUME, all capital letters, MAX, M-A-X-U-M-E, for abbreviation of Ultimate Mortgage Expo, at the beautiful Hotel Monteleone. Also, there is an option to win free CE. There's going to be an exhibit hall passport. If you go through and get your book stamped by all of the exhibit hall vendors, you'll get a ticket to, you'll get your fee for your NMLS 8-hour continuing education class, which will be taking place on Wednesday the 9th. You can win that for free, which, by the way, I think I forgot to mention, the Mortgage Star Conference ticket includes the 8-hour CE programming that'll be going on that Wednesday. So start with the CE stuff, get that out of the way, jump into the Ultimate Mortgage Expo, and then go from there. Also, next in the series here, the Maximum Performance Webinar Series, coming up next is going to be branch manager and top producing originator with Academy Mortgage, Mr. Derek Egebert, who is an expert at building automated communication strategies and top-of-mind marketing systems that can be custom built, custom tailored to a highly efficient operational system. He's going to be sharing with you some of his trade secrets as to how to create maximum reach in minimum time, particularly when it comes to leveraging your network to create home buyer opportunities and finding those purchase deals that are hiding in your database that you may be not aware of. So if you're interested, you can hop on our website, mxocoach.com/webinars, and get registered for that program. That being said, I'm going to open up the mic. Rene, if you want to go ahead and hop back in here and share some final thoughts or comments with our group today, just before we shut off the recording. Of course, you're obviously welcome to hang out as long as you want, but Rene, if you want to go ahead and hop back in, if you've got anything that you'd like to leave our audience with before we wind this up.
Can you hear me now?
Absolutely.
Great. No, well, first, it's always a pleasure, and I went back and I answered most of the questions that came through the Q&A section there. But no, I'd urge people to go on and at a minimum create a free account and get familiar with the site and add it as part of your repertoire of places that you collect reviews. Our goal is that we become your favorite, the one that's the easiest to use. We are going to be adding in a bunch of really exciting CRM functionality to really take this beyond just a review site, but something that really makes it a part of that reputation management, and where you carry your database wherever you go, you own it, it's yours, it follows your NMLS ID. So there's a lot of really powerful things that are going to be coming down the pipe. So, and again, if people have any questions, please feel free to email me at rene@betterloanofficers.com or find me via Facebook or whatever, and I'd be happy to help out.
Awesome, awesome. All right, well, folks, as I'm typing this website in for Rene at betterloanofficers.com is going to be how you access Rene for more information, or of course you can go to the website directly and chat with Rene through the forums that are on the betterloanofficer.com website. Again, like I said, guys, it's the discount code MA2014 will knock the professional membership down from $249 to $149, save you $100 a year on the professional membership, and essentially get the professional membership for the regular price of the verified membership. I can't advise enough the power of that, and just that additional website that allows you to manage and control your own, and just to answer some of the questions that I saw come through here, guys. Some of the ways that this website can be leveraged is, link it to your Facebook, link it to your blog, link it to your LinkedIn, link it to your, to anything. The other thing I'll find that is just with our coaching clients, one of the hardest things for a loan officer to ask is for a testimonial. It seems very selfish and self-serving for a lot of loan officers to think about how to ask for a good testimonial from your client. But if you send them an email that says, hey, if you appreciate our service, let us know, or let us know how we can improve, go to our online review page. If you had a habit of just sending a real simple email like that to all of your customers at the close of escrow, how many would actually go on, especially those that feel like it was a positive experience, would actually go on and create a review for you? High probability, they would. Another option would be just on.
And it's set to be very simple to use over mobile as well. So we want people to be ready for that at any point in time, even part of your email signature, et cetera.
Exactly. Another place you could link it would be on your own company or personal web page. Is let us know what you think. Give us feedback. Whatever. Put a button on your website with a widget that links to your review page, and there you go. That's how you build your profile. That's how you build the links and the search rankings that will organically create, this page getting ahead of the Trulias and the Zillows and the Yelp.com profiles that will pop up. Of course, those are still going to be out there, and there's still there's still a necessity to manage some of those sites. But having one that you control and you promote as a way of helping you capture and leverage those testimonials is a powerful, powerful business development strategy. And I'm definitely going to have you back on, Rene, as soon as we can coordinate to have you go a little more detail into the how part of what we've talked about today, as well as talking about some of the customer service elements of like the mending fences conversations and how to capitalize on bad reviews and those kind of things, which I think will be a really exciting and energetic program. All right, that being said, guys, last thing, you've taken the time and energy to invest in today's programming. Don't leave today's program without putting some of those ideas in action. The reality is knowledge is not power, action is. Ideas without action don't do anything for your business. They sit on a shelf and get dusty. So what I want to challenge you to do is take 2 minutes before you jump into the next email or before you take that next phone call and create an action plan for what you learned in today's webinar. First, what was the most valuable thing you heard in today's program? 2, what action do you need to take to make that idea a part of what you do on a daily basis? 3, by when will you have that action plan completed? What's your target date or deadline? And 4th, who is going to be your accountability partner in making sure that that action plan and timeline gets met? We've talked about before, how easy it is to break the promises we make to ourselves and how hard it is to break the promises we make to somebody we trust and respect. If there's anything we here at Maximum Acceleration can do to provide that additional support, guidance, and accountability for you, please do not hesitate to reach out to us and let us know. Of course, we do offer the no-cost, no-obligation strategy sessions as a way of experiencing the coaching process and then helping you make decisions on which program we offer is the best fit for you in your current stage of growth and walk you through what the next steps look like if it makes sense at all. That being said, we're going to leave this platform open for just a few more minutes. We're going to go ahead and shut down the recording here, though. And, so it'll be a little bit more of a free form as we wrap up today's session. We're going to leave the platform open for about another probably 5 to 10 minutes. Go ahead, and if you do have any additional questions that you'd like addressed by myself or our guest presenter, Mr. Rene Rodriguez today, go ahead and get those posted in the Q&A section of the platform. Again, if you do want to take advantage of one of those no-cost, no-obligation strategy sessions, please just let us know. Post strategy session and the best phone number and email for our customer service team to get a hold of you and schedule one of those strategy sessions off the heels of today's program. Rene, thank you again so much for a wildly valuable program. It's information that I've learned new things today that I know, even though I know we've talked about this stuff hundreds of times, I still picked up several new ideas today that I'm going to be implementing over the course of the next couple of weeks. So thank you once again for being willing to share your time and your knowledge and your expertise with our audience today. And other than that, guys, anybody who's on the call who still has additional questions or comments, feel free to go ahead and post those in the Q&A at this time. We are going to be leaving this platform open, like I said, for about another 5 or so minutes just to wrap up some questions.